Hi, and welcome again to Agudas Shalom's This Week in Jewish History. Today, I'd like to give us a brief survey of the history of the Jews in medieval England. This week marks the anniversary of the death of King Henry I, who reigned in England from the year 1100 to 1135, when he died. King Henry was good to the Jews. He granted them many rights, including the right to move wherever they wished, the right to be tried by their peers, and the right to swear on the Torah instead of on a Christian Bible. This anniversary of the death of King Henry I gives us the opportunity to learn about the Jews in medieval England in general. The first records of a Jewish community in England date back from around the time of the Norman conquest in 1066. Throughout this period, the Jews established communities in Bristol, in York, in Canterbury, and of course in London. As in many Christian countries during the Middle Ages, many Jews were involved in money lending. Due to the Catholic prohibition against lending with interest, Jews often chose, and sometimes were forced, to occupy this profession. But despite Henry I's relatively benign reign, the Jews of medieval England suffered quite a bit. In 1141, in the town of Norwich, which you now see on your screens, we find the first recorded blood libel against Jews in history. The Jews of the town of Norwich were accused of murdering a Christian child named William and using his blood for ritual purposes on Passover. The Jewish community was attacked in response to these accusations, and as many of us know, this English invention, the blood libel, would tragically spread throughout Europe during the Middle Ages and beyond. In the year 1190, we come to another tragedy to hit the Jews of England. The Jews of York in northeastern England were attacked. Many of them fled to the castle in York, which you see on the top left, where they felt they would be protected. But the proprietor of the castle turned them over to the mobs, and approximately 150 Jews were killed. They chose death rather than become forcibly baptized. Here, on the bottom right, you have a monument to the victims of the York massacre, appropriately inscribed with a verse from the book of Isaiah, proclaiming that God's people will show his glory in the faraway islands, in this case, the British Islands. But let's not think that all of medieval Jewish English history was tragedy. Lesser known, perhaps, but very important, is that England was a major center of Torah scholarship, producing great rabbis who were counted amongst the authors of Tosafot, medieval commentaries on the Talmud. These great English sages included Rabbi Eliyahu of York, Rabbi Barachia of Lincoln, and most prominent amongst them, Rabbi Eliyahu Milundrish, or in English, Rabbi Elijah of London. The story of medieval English Jewry comes to its tragic close in the year 1290, when the entire Jewish community was expelled, most of English Jewry resettling in France and Germany. The Jews, as a community, would not be allowed back into England until the middle of the 17th century. Although historians still dispute this, many think that this was under the leadership of Oliver Cromwell, that you see on your left, and under the influence of Jewish leader Menashe ben Israel, who you see on your right. This permission given to the Jewish community would once again allow it to rebuild itself as the prominent Jewish community it has been since. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.